Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bleav in Iowa. I'm Brady Beedon, joined by Logan Blackman. Dom should be back next week, but it is the Floyd of Rosedale week. It is Minnesota on deck. Both teams 5-2, 2:30 kick at Kinnick. Logan, I will start with this. What is this Minnesota team? Because I think whatever narrative you want to build on Minnesota, you can. If you want to say this is a dangerous Minnesota team, you can look to last week when they sacked Nebraska, 9 times in a win where they just smothered the Cornhuskers and say, yeah, that's a point where they can win. Or if you want to be a hater, you can say, well, they went out to Cal and lost by 2 scores. They got absolutely eviscerated by Ohio State. They're frauds. Logan, where do you fall on the Golden Gophers?
I was actually thinking about this last night because I'm still trying to figure it out myself for the most part. Because if you look at their games so far this year, like they had that weird week 1 game against Buffalo where they played them close. Purdue, they won by the game by 7 points. Like if it's on the road at this point in the year, it looks like they're going to lose. I don't want to jinx anything at this point, but losing to Ohio State and Cal on the road, we've talked about it before about like traveling to Cal or traveling out to California for a Big Ten school from the Big Midwest is a little bit is difficult. I don't know if it like because last year we look at the Iowa UCLA game where on paper Iowa should have wiped the floor with UCLA, but then travel out west, UCLA beats them by double digits, and you're looking at one of the worst games Iowa's played in quite a while. And I think it was like statistically up there with like the Rose Bowl game from the Beathard years.
Yeah, it was ugly.
But yeah, this is just a weird Minnesota team. That Nebraska game kind of made me look at them different because I was on the trajectory of like, I just don't think this team's very good. I just don't think like they beat Purdue by 7. You beat Buffalo by 13 week 1. Yeah, you beat the crap out of Northwestern State, but as you should, you barely beat Rutgers as well. So it's like, I don't know. But then, like you brought up, sacking Dylan Raiola 9 times in a game, beating Nebraska at home. Nebraska's back into the top 25. There's a little bit of juice now. They got the storm. They stormed the field after the game. They pulled up some from Nebraska. And they played good. They played good. Drake Lindsey's playing solidly enough in his first year as a starter. Darius Taylor's kind of getting back in the swing of things at running backs. He missed a couple of games earlier in the year, had over 100 yards rushing in that game. So they're gonna always want to run the football. That's what PJ Fleck wants to do. But overall, as a team, I think this was a game where now I'm looking at them a little bit differently. As man, this team can get scary if they are not scary. Scary is not the right word in regards to like, oh, they're going to challenge for a Big Ten title or anything. But they could cause some problems for Iowa definitely this week if they play like they did last week against Nebraska.
Yeah, and Iowa, I brought it up on last show. It's down to a 7.5 point favorite. But when you look at it and you say, okay, the 2 5-2 teams, and one team's a touchdown plus favorite, that's kind of a lot for the Hawkeyes. And that gave me a little more confidence because I've said for the year and a half we've had the show, if you look at a spread and you go, oh, wow, that surprised me, don't go, well, they're way off. Bet into it. And Iowa originally coming out as an 8.5 point favorite made me go, ooh, that was a little high. So that gave me confidence in the Hawkeyes. Nothing to do with any on the field stuff, but always trying to read the Vegas line and all that. But Iowa, I mean, we've talked about it. Their offense has gotten better. Has it been great? No. And I sent a stat last night that in 2023, Iowa punted 94 times. In 2022, they punted 83 times and 82 in 2021. All were a top 2 team in the country. And that's where kind of the Iowa punting meme came from. This year, they've only punted 21 times, and that's not even in the top 100 for punts. So the offense is getting down the field and at least giving opportunities to score this year. I know the big stat that Gronowski hasn't, thrown a touchdown in Big Ten play, but he's also ran for 10, so it kind of weirdly evens out.
Yeah.
I think what I'm asking for in this one is kind of what we've seen all year. Does it have to be super sexy highlight reel plays all day? No, but find a way to win this one because I do think Iowa is the better team.
Oh yeah. I think on paper Iowa should have enough in this game to manage to get out on top. But that punting is winning thing, that was such a trying time. That was such a hard time. You'd see it everywhere. Like I remember seeing political posts about Iowa punting the ball or Iowa's offense being a meme and stuff. And you look at the past, however many years since Nate Stanley left, and all the quarterbacks that have come through here, like you look at Petrus, you look at Hill, you look at Padilla, you look at Deuce Hogan, McNamara, Sullivan, Stratton, like all these different guys. It just was so sad watching Iowa play football and watching them on the opposite side of the ball. And they were winning games. Like even the Deacon Hill year, I mean, they went to the Big Ten championship, which is as weird as that is to say, but they were punting a crap ton. Punting is winning was the massive mantra, and Torrey Taylor was the best player on the Hawkeyes next to Cooper DeJean. It was just it sucked. It sucked. So it's been really fun to see how Iowa's offense has kind of turned it around again. Like you said, they're not like doing anything pretty. They're not going to be the sexiest offense out there where like Indiana, where they're throwing the ball over the field, or Baylor, where they're throwing the ball 100 times a game, and you got Sawyer Robertson lead the nation in passing yards. They're not going to do that, but they're going to beat you up, and it's going to be effective. And Gronowski isn't the same Mark Gronowski at South Dakota State in regards to as a passer. I think the shoulder issue was a little bit of a problem to go into the year, especially with the long motion that he has, so it kind of delayed some throws. But he's making throws when he needs to, and then when Iowa wants him to. Like the game against Penn State last week, I think he started like 1 for 7 or something like that. I could be wrong with the number. It was a jet sweep to Caden Wheatgen, and then he finished the game 10 of 16. Like they just need him to hit the shorter pass. We don't need a lot of home run hitters, and because he'll do that with his legs. And I think what I love about this Iowa offense versus previous Iowa offenses post Nate Stanley is that the coaching staff looks at Gronowski and wants to put the ball in his hands when they need a gain, when they need something to happen. They trust him, and if that's the thing, compared to all the other quarterbacks Iowa's had, where I had zero faith in, I believe Gronowski's going to pick up some sort of gain on the ground, whether he's healthy or not, or he'll make some sort of throw because he can throw the ball. I mean, we saw that against Indiana. And some of the interceptions have been a little bit unfortunate. Some of them have been batted, and they've been landed right in the arms of the defenders. But I trust Gronowski in regards to getting plays down the field and making Iowa work. And I think there's some people out there that are a little like, I don't think they realize where we came from, where it was what the offense was. And now we're wanting to see things, it's not comparable to like Ohio State out there, so we need to make a change at quarterbacks. He's not that great of a thrower. It's like this Iowa offense is the best Iowa offense they've had since Nate Stanley was here, and that it's not even really close, which is sad. But I love the continuation of the punting's no longer winning thing. Iowa's offense will do that for you, and it's fun. It's fun. You got a good group of running backs back there. Gronowski can run the ball. The O-line's playing great, and if they're able to control Minnesota's pass rush in this game, like Nebraska did, and Gronowski, little shot at Dylan Raiola this past week, he said, I think that quarterback from Nebraska held the ball on a little too long. A little bit of a shot there. Nice little rivalry boost right there. So, yeah, if they're able to subdue the pass rush and he's able to create gains with his legs, then, like you said, Iowa should have enough in the tank to win this game.
You know, it's funny. You brought something up, and it transitions nicely into the next thing I wanted to get into about, hey, they're not Ohio State. Iowa's, and I guess Minnesota hasn't done anything incredible, but, they've been good. And there was a piece that came out this week by Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports, who, by the way, I think Tom is awesome. I really enjoyed a lot of his stuff, but it was a headline that catches your attention. And it caught, when I brought it up to you, you kind of had the reaction I think most Iowa fans would. It was said, overlooked PJ Fleck in Minnesota. Oh, excuse me. That was not the one. It was the tweet that was, it said on a tweet, he said, there's a Braun pig on the line this weekend, which got me thinking about Iowa and Minnesota, which then got me thinking about how what PJ Fleck has done at Minnesota kind of reminds me of what Kirk, Ferentz, and Hayden Fry have done at Iowa. And off the headline alone, I think it's very natural for Iowa fans to recoil and say, whoa. No. But I'll read a couple excerpts of the article real quick, which, by the way, I encourage you to go do. But let's go through it a bit. He said he had a different takeaway from the immediate aftermath of the Nebraska game. Says, boy, PJ Fleck does not nearly get enough credit. Goes on, Minnesota has won 7 national titles but in its history, but none since 1960. If we only consider the modern era of college football since the BCS began in 98, Minnesota has finished with a winning conference record in 8 of 27 seasons. Fleck is responsible for half of them and is likely going to get a 5th one this year. What Fleck has done at Minnesota reminds me a lot of what Hayden, Fry, and Kirk Ferentz have done at Iowa. He's taken a Big Ten program that isn't considered one of the league's best and consistently found ways to exceed expectations every season. Coincidentally, that's who Fleck's Gophers will face in this one of this week's Big Ten's traditional rivalry games. Now, before Iowa fans throw heavy objects at me, Fleck has not taken Minnesota to the same kind of heights Fry and Ferentz have reached at Iowa. Hayden Fry took the Hawkeyes to a Rose Bowl. Kirk Ferentz two Big Ten titles, a Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl appearance. Fleck has never won the Big Ten title. His best bowl was a Cotton Bowl, yada, yada, yada. My comparison is more about what Minnesota has become under Fleck. Some may have seen Nebraska going on the road to Minnesota and losing to some kind of big upset. Perhaps it was on the point spread, but it wasn't a shock to anybody who pays close attention, much like the Big Ten teams have found going into Kinnick and facing the Hawkeyes to be difficult. The same thing is happening with road trips to Minneapolis. So, Logan, you hadn't seen this before I told you pre-show. What are your thoughts? Is that a fair comparison, and do you understand what Tom's trying to say there?
I'm not gonna lie. I was, like you said at the very beginning of that, I was one of those people when you first read, it's like PJ Fleck compared to Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz. Like, it just the thought of that doesn't really sit well in my brain. Just because, and that's more of the annoyance I have with PJ Fleck and the hatred I have for Minnesota.
Leave all the meme stuff behind.
So,
leave all the row the boat, and he can come across as a car salesman at times, but just ignore that and look at the on the field record and any personal bias you may have.
Oh yeah, that's where I have to like take a step back and kind of like take a deep breath, or one or two or three, and go like, okay, let's see where this is coming from. And you look at Minnesota, like it said in the article, they're since the 21st century. I know they, like you brought up the national championships and all that stuff, and I believe Minnesota leads the series or something like that. But since Kirk's come into Iowa, this has really turned on Iowa. It's Iowa's thing. I think they've won in the last 10 games in the series or something like that. Like, this is the game where I kind of always expect Iowa to win. So if I take that away from that and look at what PJ Fleck's done as a totality at Minnesota, I can go, yeah, they're creating a culture there. He's a meme machine out there, but they're winning games. I think it's TCF Bank Stadium is a tough place to play. It is a very hard place to go up there. I know Iowa did that last year, but it's still a tough place to go up there and play. Nebraska, they proved that last week against Nebraska. And if you look at PJ Fleck's record, like, the wins in conference play are getting impressive. And then I didn't even know this till a little bit ago because I had to look it up while you were talking about it. PJ Fleck's never lost a bowl game either. Like that at Minnesota. Like, it's a very like comparison that you don't want to think about because of the rivalry in there. But PJ Fleck definitely is turning Minnesota into a more competitive team that we never really saw when we were growing up. It was like, okay, they have Adam Weber, they have Eric Decker, but that's about it. They have nobody else really there. And then
an odd good year, but it was the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and they would go to the Insight Bowl or something, and they play Iowa State.
Wow,
and then,
the Insight Bowl.
Got to throw in a nice little Insight Bowl.
Wow, that's a good throwback.
Because I remember they played Iowa State one year in the Insight Bowl, and they had these, and Iowa would go up to the Metrodome, and they'd beat Minnesota up there. They tear down the goalposts in the Metrodome. So, like, looking at from taking all that away, it's not. I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it. It's not as bad of a comparison as I would like want it to be, because I want that I don't want it, but that tribalism and in rivalry and stuff like that. But yeah, he's done really well at Minnesota. He was a good hire when they first got him in from Western Michigan, and he had them cooking on all cylinders when he was at Western Michigan as well. I mean, at game day went up to Kalamazoo to go to do a broadcast up there when he was there. So he's a very good culture builder, and I think if he keeps going like this, he could be there for however long he wants, and they're just going to keep being a consistent outfit that's going to make it hard for teams to win, especially at home. But they're going to make things hard for opposing teams in the Big Ten for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's be careful what's in door number 2, because he even admitted in the article, they have not had the highs that, Kirk Ferentz and Hayden Fry have, where right now Iowa's kind of, or at least in the 21st century, Iowa's kind of been the program that, once out of every 4 years, they're going to pop up and have a nationally relevant year. You're going to have a year where you start off 9-0. You're going to have a year where you're in the Big Ten title game playing for a playoff spot. You're going to have a year where you split the Big Ten championship with the national champion Ohio State team, things like that. And then the other 3 are usually good. And a stinker mixed in there here or there. But for the most part, Iowa's at a point where, and has been for a long time, where an under 500 season is a big disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think PJ Fleck is a step behind in that, where he's gotten to where you can expect a 500 season every year and then maybe pop off an 8 or 9 win season every once in a while. Again, it's not 1-to-1, but I understand what he's saying. Basically, the crux of the article is the floor has been raised at Minnesota, that you're never going to see a 2-10 PJ Fleck team at Minnesota, or you're probably never going to see that. And that they have risen the standard. And in an era of college football where it's, if you ain't first, you're last, because that's kind of what it feels like, Minnesota is finding that is one of those rare, almost middle-class teams, kind of maybe a half step behind Iowa. And I think that's what he was getting at. And I understand it. Obviously, Minnesota, not a program that, if there's fans out there that are clamoring for the good old days when they were winning national titles, yeah, they're doing so from the grave, because it's been a long time since then. So I think I just wanted to bring that up because it was an interesting comparison. Again, no, it's not 1-to-1, but I think it was just something to get it going, because you read that headline or that initial tweet that Tom Fornelli had and you go, what? And then you read it and you think about it and you go, okay, I get what he's getting at. Not an A+, but like a B+, A- comparison.
Yeah, for sure. It's not, you got to take away like the bowl games and stuff like that, because it's not like you just said, it's not like, oh, they're right next to each other. This is exactly what Kirk Ferentz did at Iowa. This is exactly what Hayden Fry did at Iowa. But there are comparisons there. There are things that they've done similarly to where, because when Kirk Ferentz took over at Iowa, they were like, Hayden Fry was going on the downward, and Iowa really struggled when Kirk first got. I think they went like 1-11 or 2-10 his first couple years at Iowa. It took a little bit to get Iowa back to the level where Hayden Fry had it at, and that's the floor raiser, as you just talked about, like raising the floor of the program into where you can have those odd like 9, 10, 11 win seasons where you're like, okay, Iowa, this is a team that's scary. Oh my God, this top 10 team's going to Kinnick. There's a 50% chance they don't come out on top in this one. Like, this is a little scary. And it doesn't really matter how good Iowa is, but you see like Penn State prior to the year starting, or Indiana coming to town, or Oregon. You're like, Iowa could get one of them, not because they're better on paper, but they could sneak one in there because they're physical enough and muddy up the water a little bit to make it tough for that team to come in. It's not going to be an easy game at Kinnick, ever. It's not ever going to be an easy game for the opposing team, I guess you could say. It's never going to be an easy game. So I can see PJ Fleck doing that same thing at TCF, and where teams are going into TCF, and it's hard to get wins there. It's hard to like challenge them there. And Minnesota on paper is not better than a lot of these teams in the Big Ten, but they're a tough, physical team who wants to run the ball. I would say they even have very similar ethos to that of Iowa, where they want to be physical at the line of scrimmage. They want to run the ball. Like, they had Daniel Faalele, who plays for the Ravens now. He's like 6'9", 400 pounds playing tackle, and he just beat the crap out of everybody when he was there. Like, that's what they want to do, and it's very similar to that of Iowa. So, and they've got their own Cooper Jean in the secondary as well over at Minnesota, which is kind of interesting. I think Coy, I can't remember his last name, but they got their own little version of that as well. So it is weird to think about the comparison, and it's not 1-to-1, but it's definitely closer than what I initially gave it credit for when you first told me about the article before we started recording.
And the other thing is that I always caution is, be careful what you wish for. Door number 2 is not always success. Look at Florida. Look at, and in the Big Ten, Nebraska. What was the big refrain all the way back when Bo Pelini was let go? 9-3 is not good enough. 9-3 is not good. What do you think a Nebraska fan would do for 9-3 right now? Because be careful, because and Iowa kind of falls in this category. Whenever Kirk's done, if they don't get the right hire after that, Iowa could fall into that bottom quarter of the Big Ten, because it's not a given. It's not one of these programs that's too big to fail. And Minnesota, I think, I'm not tapped in. I don't listen to Minnesota sports radio. I don't know what the pulse of the Golden Gopher fan base is, but I'm sure they're very happy year in and year out, always being mostly competitive and winning more than they lose. Anyway, you did bring up, and later in the article, he did rank the Big Ten rivalry trophies. He put the Floyd of Rosedale at number 1. So there you go.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's a bronze pig. What more can you ask? Is the most Big Ten trophy out there?
Like, you can't even try to make a better Big Ten trophy.
I mean,
Impossible.
Paul Bunyan, having the two separate Paul Bunyan with 4 different schools is also very Midwestern. It takes you back to 3rd grade when you're learning about all the myths of the Midwest. But anyway, you did bring up the history. You know, if you go back before World War II, man, Minnesota dominated this one. In the last 10 years, since 2015, the only loss for Iowa was the Cooper DeJean fair catch, not a fair catch game. So they've dominated this one. 7.5-point favorites. Logan, as we wrap this up again, what are you looking for at the Hawkeyes to get another win, get to 6-2, and then this is the audition. If you win this one, you get a chance against Oregon to say, you know what? Maybe we can enter the discussion of dark horse outside shot playoff team.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game, so that always makes things a little bit scary. And Minnesota is a solid team. And again, like I said before, that game against Nebraska kind of shifted my opinions on Minnesota going into this game, because I would have looked at that and go like, oh, Nebraska's going to go up to Minnesota and beat them. It's going to be Iowa's going to have their way with them when they come down to Kinnick Stadium. It's going to be like last year. It's just going to be Iowa's just going to control it and going to win. And now I'm looking at it a little bit differently and going like, I still think Iowa can win. I think still Iowa should win this game, but that pressure that they put on Dylan, and I do think Wright did hold on the ball a little bit too long, but the pressure they were able to distribute on that could cause some problems. They had a good running game, but they tried to go away from it because they were losing. So when you're losing a game, you got to start throwing it. And when you're getting sacked the entire time, those throws turn into negative rush yards, and then the clock keeps running. So it just keeps piling on top of you as the game goes on. The thing with Iowa that's different than Nebraska, Iowa will not abandon the run. That's just not what they're going to do. They want to run the football. They want to establish the run. You've got very good running backs back there. I can't remember if I saw Jazz Patterson's back or not for this week, but Kamari Mullins, Xavier Williams. You got what else? I'm forgetting. Nathan McNeil. You got some good running backs there mixed in with Mark Gronowski as well with a good offensive line. Like, Iowa's going to run the football. My guess would be Gronowski throws like 17, 18 passes in this game. Like, I don't think it'll be a ton of passes. It'll probably be a little bit later in the game, but Iowa's going to run the ball. They're going to want to establish the run. They don't want Gronowski to get hit, who's already hurt. So you don't want him to get more hurt and get more pressure on him in the backfield. So I don't think they're going to do anything long sustaining pass plays like we saw against against Wisconsin, where he tried to hit the post corner route and got intercepted. I don't see any plays like that coming out, but I think a lot of slants, bubble screens, jet sweeps, I think could be on the cards for Iowa in regards to the pass game. And as for the defense, they're playing great right now. They're playing well. Xavier Wonkba's having a great season. He had his best game at Iowa last week against Penn State. The corners are playing well. Lutmer's playing well at the cash position. TJ Hall, Deshaun Lee, I think, have been playing really well. The D-line, they can just get some pressure on Drake Lindsey because this is his first year as a starter. So this is a big test for him as well, and how to stop Darius Taylor, who if I remember correctly, were able to put a little holster on him last year when they played. If they're able to stop that, then I think Iowa should have enough in the tank to win this game, especially if they're able to do what they want to do on offense and keep Gronowski from getting hit too much in the pocket. I think Iowa's got it, and yeah, got to get another rivalry trophy. You lost one earlier in the year. You got one with the Heartland Trophy. Now you got to get another one back with the Floyd of Rosedale.
Jazz Patterson, Terrell Washington are expected to be active, and Jaden Harrell is set to return as well. So looks like the Hawkeyes are getting a little healthier, and yes, win this one. Again, it doesn't have to be the prettiest. I would like it to be prettier. And you know what? Let's just have Gronowski throw for a touchdown so we don't have to see that stat.
Yeah, just throw for
Get
one.
rid of that
one.
Get rid of the one where it's Iowa hasn't beat anyone with a conference win, and then we're on to Oregon. So, Logan, good show as always. You can follow us on socials at BLEAV in Iowa. You find us on Instagram, Twitter /X, TikTok. Dom's got the YouTube up and running, so we'll have all that for you. And hopefully we're talking about a big bronze pig coming back to Iowa. For Logan Blackman, I'm Brady Beedon. You've been listening to Bleav in Iowa.